What is up, guys? My name is Sebastian with doinksports.com, and today I'm going to be doing a live walkthrough of what it looks like researching player props on Doink, all the different tools and features we have, plus maybe some hidden tips and tricks you didn't know. Anyways, diving right in, when you come to a player props research page, you're going to see breakdowns for all the projected players on the starting lineup for the away team and the home team. So for football, we have the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and so on. So for each specific player, there's going to be two big groups of data that you'll see. And so on the left, we have what we like to call our offensive breakdowns. This is just what has this player done in the past. And then on the right side, this is what we like to call our defensive breakdowns. This is what the opposing defense have allowed from players in the same position. So it's kind of tricky, but looking at Josh Allen, the defensive breakdown shows you what the Jets defense has allowed from previous QB1s that they've played. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, the combination of a player's historical stats plus the opposing defensive historical stats against that position, the combination is really powerful, and it's what makes researching player props on Doink really, really insightful. Anyway, so for each specific breakdown, there's a couple of different parts. We have our splits and filters, our game log tables, averages, hit rates, and then finally lines. So starting with the splits and filters up here on the left, we have our number of games selector. This is just where you can select how many games you want to look at when you're doing your research. So some people only like to look at the last 5 games, just the recent ones, or some people like to look at, all last season. It really just depends on you and how you like to do your research. Today, we're just going to stick with last 10. Then we have a couple of basic filters like head-to-head filter. Let's see how this player does against a specific team. Home and away filter. And the cool thing is you can kind of mix and match these. But even cooler than that is when you apply a split to one player, it automatically gets applied to the rest of the players. And so you can kind of decide what's important to you when you're analyzing a player and how they might do tonight. And then it'll just get applied to the whole team, so it can really fast track your research. Anyways, below the splits, we have the filters, and these filters are typically based on the position of the player, but there's also some common ones for every player. And starting with my favorite is the without players filter. So injuries are so important to every sport, but especially football. When you're looking at a QB, if a running back is out, it can really change how a QB plays in a game. Maybe they'll pass more because they don't have their go-to rush guy, or maybe they'll rush more themselves. However it is, you can look at a player's data when a different player has been out. And it's going to be really important when you're looking at a particular matchup based on the injuries. Anyways, conversely, we also have with players. Now, show me this player's data only when a different player has been playing. And moving along, we have some more position-specific filters. So for QBs, you can filter by pass attempts. Show me games where he's done more than 30 pass attempts. And we have the same for rush attempts and so on. Anyways, as I was filtering that data, you kind of noticed how the data in the table changed, and then everything below it changed as well. So diving into those tables, here we have the game logs table. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's just based on what filters and splits you have applied. Here's the data. And now the one thing to note for this table is the column selector. So we have a bunch of default columns selected, but based on what stats you like to look at, you can turn them on and off for a particular position. Anyways, another hidden feature of the game log table is you can check the box score for any game. Maybe you want to get more context as to how a game played out. You can really check to see how different players did for a given game, and it's kind of just a quick little access to more data that way. Anyways, below the game logs table is the average. So this just takes the average of all the data above it for the number of games that you've selected. Below that is the hit rate. And so the hit rate and the lines table kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to talk about the lines table first. So for each cell of the lines table, you have 3 parts. You have the consensus handicap, you have the best overline, and then the best underline. So out of all the books that we have to offer on Doink, which is 20 plus books, we figure out what's the consensus handicap for across all of them. So, for example, looking at Josh Allen passing attempts, most books agree that he's going to do about 29.5 pass attempts tonight. And so that's the consensus line. And then we have the best over line, which currently is minus 110 on Pinnacle. And then the best under line, which is currently minus 102 on FanDuel. And as you might have noticed already, what is in the lines table really dictates what the tables above it look like. So for the hit rate, this is just, okay, based on the data that I have filtered and the line that's currently showing, this is how many times he's gone over. Above that, for the average table and the game logs table, you'll notice that they're colored green and red. So for games where he's gone over the current handicap, they're colored green, and for games where he's gone under the current handicap, they're colored red. The more green, the more over he went, the more red, the more under he or she went. It's pretty self-explanatory. So for the lines, there's so many tools that we have to offer, and I can't possibly cover them in just this one video. But to just give a general overview, if you click on the handicap, this whole section drops down here, and there's a couple of different parts. So number one is the alt line selector. So we take all the different alt lines from all the different books, and we'll kind of collect them here. So as you scroll, you can see that the table above changes based on the handicap, and the data below changes as well. So we have what the entire market looks like for this particular bet and handicap. So all the different books, what their over-under lines are. We'll show you the market average. We'll show you the best. And here we also have the implied probability percentage. I'll do another video on implied probability, but it's a really, really interesting number to look at. Below that, we have our lines chart, and this is so much fun to look at. There is so much data to be extracted from this graph. But you can see how the odds for the over have changed, how the odds for the under have changed, how the handicap itself has changed. There's just so many things you can look at here, and it can really help your research if you kind of hone in and look at what's important to you. So that's it for player prop research, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Also, join our Discord community. We have hundreds of bettors in there talking about picks, data research, and everything that's pertinent to sports betting and how to analyze and make sense of the numbers, and hopefully win some money. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon.